Has anyone ever wondered why Voldemort left Horace Slughorn alive when he was the only one who really truly knew the Dark Lord's secret about his intent to create a Horcrux? It's something that has never ever crossed my mind until now, after 700 videos. I can't believe I never thought of it. It was only when I was rewatching The Half-Blood Prince last week and seeing just how involved Slughorn was with Tom Riddle. Not just about the conversation about the Horcrux, but they had many different chats about many different things. Tom had Slughorn convinced that he was the only person he could talk to because he was such an understanding teacher. Slughorn seeking young Tom's praise with the hope of one day being rewarded after Tom forged a successful career for himself, lapped up the attention he received from the young boy who sought to become the greatest wizard of his time. However, we do have to go back to that conversation with the potions professor all but confirmed to Riddle the process of Horcrux creation. I think many of us are aware that Voldemort wanted to conceal the fact he created Horcruxes from everyone. It was a massive secret and something that nobody would have thought of due to the fact that Horcruxes were so rarely discussed, and by that I mean never ever discussed. Even Albus Dumbledore had the books that contained any information on the Dark Ritual removed from the library and locked away. Even if we fast forward to when Voldemort knew that Harry knew about his Horcruxes, he didn't stop and think, oh yeah, I had that conversation with Horace Slughorn 50 years ago about Horcruxes. I'll just kill him to make sure he remains silent. It's not as if Slughorn wasn't expecting him either. He altered that memory not just out of shame, but fear. Fear of the Dark Lord coming for him and extracting the memory, or even discovering the memory had already been extracted, and with some miracle would have considered Slughorn somewhat loyal to him for altering the memory in the first place. That's my truth on the matter anyway. Yet, he left Slughorn alive. All those years, guys. The 50s, 60s, 70s, he never came for him, despite the professor being literally the only one who could have correctly assumed that his unrivaled power was down to the fact he created a Horcrux or even more. To be honest, it wasn't just a brief chat between the two, it was quite detailed. Let's just take a look at the conversation. Let's read through it in its entirety. I'm going to start at the very beginning so you can have a decent understanding of the relationship between the teacher and the student. Keep in mind, it's a lot more detailed than the movie. So let's begin at the end of the latest Slug Club meeting. What with your uncanny ability to know things you shouldn't, and your careful flattery of people who matter. Thank you for the pineapple, by the way. You're quite right. It is my favourite. I confidently expect you to rise to Minister of Magic within 20 years. 15 if you keep sending me pineapple. I have excellent contacts at the Ministry. I don't know if politics would suit me, sir. I don't have the right kind of background, for one thing. Nonsense. Couldn't be plainer you come from decent wizarding stock. Abilities like yours? No, you'll go far, Tom. I've never been wrong about a student yet. Good gracious, it's at that time already. You'd better get going, boys, or we'll all be in trouble. Lestrange, I want your essay in by tomorrow, or it's detention. Same goes for you, Avery. Look sharp, Tom. You don't want to be caught out of bed out of hours. And you, a prefect. Sir, I wanted to ask you something. Ask away then, my boy, ask away. Sir, I wondered what you know about Horcruxes. Project for the Defense Against the Dark Arts, is it? Not exactly, sir. I came across the term while reading and I didn't fully understand it. No, well, you'd be hard pushed to find a book at Hogwarts that'll give you details on Horcruxes, Tom. That's very dark stuff. Very dark indeed. But you obviously know all about them, sir. I mean, a wizard like you. Sorry, I mean, if you can't tell me, obviously. I just knew if anyone could tell me, you could. So, I just thought Well, it can't hurt to give you an overview, of course, just so that you understand the term. A Horcrux is a word used for an object in which a person has concealed part of their soul. I don't quite understand how that works though, sir. Well, you split your soul, you see, and hide part of it in an object outside the body. Then, even if one's body is attacked or destroyed, one cannot die, for part of the soul remains earthbound and undamaged. But of course, existence in such a form, few would want it, Tom. Very few. Death would be preferable. How do you split your soul, sir? Well, You must understand that the soul is supposed to remain intact and whole. Splitting it is an act of violation. It is against nature. But how do you do it? By an act of evil. The supreme act of evil. By committing murder. Killing rips the soul apart. The wizard intent upon creating a Horcrux would use the damage to his advantage. He would encase the torn portion. Encase? But how? There is a spell. Do not ask me, I don't know. Do I look as though I've tried it? Do I look like a killer? No, sir, of course not. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend. Not at all, not at all, not offended. It is natural to feel some curiosity about these things. Wizards of a certain caliber have always been drawn to that aspect of magic. Yes, sir. What I don't understand though, just out of curiosity, I mean, would one Horcrux be much use? Can you only split your soul once? Wouldn't it be better, make you stronger, to have your soul in more pieces? I mean, for instance, isn't 7 the most powerfully magical number? Wouldn't 7... Merlin's beard, Tom! 7? Isn't it bad enough to think of killing one person? And in any case, bad enough to divide the soul, but to rip it into 7 pieces? Of course, this is all hypothetical. What we're discussing, isn't it? All academic? Yes, sir. Of course. But all the same, Tom, keep it quiet. What I've told, that's to say, what we've discussed. People wouldn't like to think we've been chatting about Horcruxes. It's a banned subject at Hogwarts, you know. Dumbledore is particularly fierce about it. I won't say a word, sir. As I said, guys, the conversation in the book greatly differs from that of the movie. Slughorn knew what he had done. He knew on the inside that this conversation would be detrimental to some extent. He had basically just told a psychopathic, unstable boy that to live forever, he had to kill people, something the latter thoroughly enjoyed. This was the first time Slughorn had seen through Tom's mask, but still refused to believe that a student so great as young Riddle would go down such a dark road. I had a good think about it and I've narrowed it down to what I believe are 2 reasons as to why Voldemort left Horace Slughorn alive. The first reason is that he simply forgot about him. Don't forget, it was around 50 years since the conversation was had, but even so, even 10 years after, 20, 30 years after it, Voldemort was still focused on achieving power and such a dominance that he just left an old man be. I think he was also well aware that Slughorn would have never revealed any information that would place Riddle in danger. The second reason, and the reason I actually believe is the truth, is the fact that Slughorn was the first person to ever show Tom real loyalty. He did cherish him as a student. He truly believed he would achieve wondrous things, and you just have to go back to the conversation to see that. Most importantly, Slughorn gave Voldemort the knowledge to create a Horcrux and achieve immortality, and regardless of the Dark Lord's tyrannical rules and how easily disposable human life was, he rewarded Slughorn by leaving him alive and correctly assuming that Slughorn would not betray him, as the professor edited the memory as to cover up the situation. With that being said, guys, that's my take on why Voldemort left Horace Slughorn alive. Let me know your opinion in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.